If you want to be able to hit like this in ranked seasons and like this in Battle Royale, then you click the right video. Tip number 1 is going to start off with patience. If you're going in there horned up every single at bat, looking to hit every single pitch out of the pitcher's hand, that is your main problem. You have 3 strikes to work with, and you shouldn't be looking to swing at every strike you see. The first 2 strikes should be used to look for pitches that you want to hit and that you are good at hitting. So for me, that's middle up and middle in. So what I'll be doing, count, middle up or middle in. If I don't see it, I'm taking it. Just for sakes, I'm going to take it anyways. You know, that was kind of close, dude, but you don't need to be swinging at every single pitch, remember. Tip number 2 is going to be hunting the fastball. What I want you doing is looking for the fastest possible pitch that pitcher has every single at bat. Here's the reason for it. If you're sitting on a slider and you get 102 out of a fastball, more than likely you're gonna be late. But if you're sitting on 102 and then you get a 90-mile-an-hour slider, you can adjust to that. It's a lot harder to adjust to a fastball rather than to adjust to something slower as like a slider. So every single pitch, I'm gonna be sitting on a fastball and then I'll react to whatever I get. Timing is the most important thing in this game. And if you're on time for a fastball, you bet your ass you can be on time for a 90-mile-an-hour slider if you're on time for a 102-mile-an-hour fastball. But if you're sitting on a slider, you get that fastball, you are going to be late more than likely. All right, so now that we've taken some pitches, let me go ahead and show you guys tip number 3. Tip number 3 is going to be reading the pitch out of the hand. This one's going to spill over into tip number 2 and help you a lot with timing. The reason I'm stressing timing so much this year is because timing is the most important factor. You guys have probably noticed when you've put your PCI on something before, but you've been very late or very early, you know, it's either gone foul or it hasn't been a hit. But you've definitely noticed times when your PCI has been all the way in, you know, I don't know, the gulag, and you've been on time for a pitch and the ball leaves or the ball's a hit, because timing is the most important thing in this game. If you're not on time, you're not going to get a hit. You're not going to get a good one, at least. So getting into tip number 3 is going to be picking up the pitch out of the hand. Where I look to pick up the pitch is right here. If I'm able to pick up the pitch right there, I'm going to have a lot more time to react to the pitch rather than if I'm picking it up, you know, right here or even right here. You have a lot more time to react, you have a lot more time to decide if you want to swing, and you have a lot more time to recognize what pitch that actually is. And the way I do this, what helps me, is looking at the pitcher's hat. So the reason I use the hat is I use the hat to transfer my eyes from that hat right to the hand. If I'm looking here, right, bang, right when I see that hand, I go from his hat right to his hand, and I can see the ball just about to come out before it's even out of his hand. And I have way more time to react to that pitch. It's going to help me get more set, you know, pick up the pitch better, and all of that, guys. So try this tip. This is a big one. Let's go ahead and put the first 3 tips into use. Going ahead and looking at the pitch, going ahead and waiting for our pitch. We get our pitch, single through the left side, and look at the swing timing. More importantly than anything, not the PCI, not anything, we had good timing because I'm sitting on that fastball. I'm early on it, I'm out in front of it, and that's what I wanted to be. The pitch was right down the middle, more on the inside part, but I was on time for it, guys, okay? Let's go ahead and take one more at bat right here. Pitch number 1, not something I'm really looking for. That's low. I'd rather look for something up. I got 2 more strikes to work with. Slide step, there's my second strike. Second strike, you can't afford to be picky here. Now you just have to look to fight. 4th pitch, I get a mistake and we rope it. It's gonna go over his head though. It's gonna get over his head. And that's what I'm trying to stress, guys. The more pitches you make somebody throw, especially online, the more likely they are to make a mistake. But if I swing at pitch number 1 that's kind of low, maybe I roll that over, we got an inning-ending double play. But right there, by taking pitches, by being patient, waiting for our pitch, and being on time, all 3 of those things right there, we're able to wait till the 4th pitch and get something like a mistake pitch and go out there and drive it. Tip number 4 is a huge one for me in terms of PCI control. You ever slam your PCI and want to slam your controller through a wall? Because that's happened to me before. So over the years, I've started doing this, and that's putting my thumb, I don't know if you guys can see it that well, my thumb very low and very light on the bottom of the stick. And so what I'm doing is I'm also putting very light pressure on the bottom of the thumbstick right here. I'm going slow instead of going crazy in the middle. I have a lot more control right here. I go a little bit down rather than slamming my PCI and end up slamming my controller. And I go a little bit up. You're looking to do small movements, and this is a huge, huge factor in being able to do that. Another one that I've seen, guys, is the pinch grip. You go a little bit light here, and you can go up and down. I don't do it, man, because I'm not playing a claw machine, but, you know, you could try it out. You never know. Boys, tip number 5 is going to be where to start your PCI. And the best place, I truly believe, to start your PCI is going to be in the middle. If I'm starting my PCI up in this top left corner and I'm trying to get to a pitch down and away, it's going to take me a lot more time. And it's going to be a lot harder to get to that pitch. If I'm starting my PCI, you know, in the middle and I get something down and away, sure, it's going to take me a little bit to get to, but I can still get to that in the same amount of time as anywhere else. So I kind of keep my PCI right here and just kind of make smaller movements rather than trying to make those big jumps. So I recommend starting your PCI in the middle, man, and seeing what you can do. The other thing I'm not doing with my PCI, this is huge, is I'm not flinging my PCI around here. This does nothing for you. This just like sets you up to slam your PCI. Like flinging this around does nothing. If you see people doing it, maybe it's a timing thing sometimes, but what I like to do is just kind of be smaller and easier with my movements. I kind of go around like this a little bit, and maybe I cheat a little bit up right where the pitch comes, and then bang. And I'm just able to get to stuff easier rather than just like flinging my PCI around over and over. Tip number 6 is going to be settings. I know this is everybody's least favorite tip, so I left it more towards the end. But guys, settings are important. If you're playing on fisheye and you're using directional, take your console and throw it out the window. If you're looking to get better, you are going to be awful if you are using those settings. The two biggest settings are going to be your hitting interface as well as your hitting view. If you're not on strike zone and you're not using zone, just go ahead and do yourself a favor and uninstall the game, because those are the ones that every top player uses. Yes, you can probably get away with something like strike zone high or something like that, but anything other than zone, I promise you, you will not get away with it. This is also what I rock for my PCI center as well as my PCI transparency. I don't really recommend PCI settings because I think PCI settings is more preference, but I think the PCI bat this year is absolutely insane. I think a big advantage to it is it doesn't change size no matter who you're using. But if you guys remember last year, every single PCI, if you had Mike Trout and then you had a Make-A-Wish kid, it's going to go from huge to really tiny. But the bat PCI, doesn't really matter who you're using, so I think that's an absolutely huge advantage. Something you should definitely try out. Tip number 7 is going to be a control freak and a monitor. And no, this is not a sponsored part. I can't get sponsored. I'm a ginger. Nobody likes them, so that's unfortunate. Guys, getting a monitor compared to a TV is going to step your game up like you could not believe. If you're not playing on a monitor, please, please, please do yourself a favor and get one. 1 millisecond, I recommend Asus. I know they have half milliseconds now. I don't know if that actually makes a difference, but I got a 1 millisecond myself. Asus is what I recommend, and also a control freak. A control freak, you don't have to get the exact one, but I'll have this link below in the description. But this is also just preference too. This is the one I like. I believe it's called the Alpha, but no, it is not sponsored. No, I don't have a code. I'm just looking to help you guys out. If you enjoyed these tips, leave a like and subscribe to the channel, or else seduce your mother. Gentlemen, are you loving the videos? Do you want double of them? Go ahead and do yourself a favor. Subscribe to Playful Variety down below in the description. We upload every single day. Makes it double the videos.